friends, it's Marky here with Capricorn Crafter, and today is Wednesday, November 29th. So it is WIP Wednesday, and today's WIP is a cross-stitch project that I'm working on. And if you know me, I always have a ton of WIPs that I'm working on. So the last WIP I was crocheting, today is going to be this because I ran out of some yarn on my current winter gnome afghan that I'm working on. But this WIP, this cross stitch, it was a kit that I got. It was this, and I think I picked it up at like Joann's or Hobby Lobby, but this is what it's gonna, I guess, look like. And I've had it for quite a few years. And my husband keeps asking me about it, like, are you ever gonna finish that or do whatever? And I had started it, and then I was kind of cleaning out my craft room and came across it and got rid of what I had done so far and decided I kept the pattern, thank goodness. But I got rid of the canvas and the thread that came in the kit because I said, oh, there's no way that I'm ever going to be able to do this. And then I think I restarted it another time, and the same thing, I ended up, whatever I had done, I threw it away, and it was just discouraging. But with watching Miss Crochet and Coffee, I started watching her on YouTube, and I'll link her down below. But she, in some of her diamond painting videos, she kept talking about this other YouTuber, Rachel Ray. And when I first got started with watching Mrs. Crochet and Coffee, I didn't know who she was talking about. I was like, oh, she knows Rachel Ray, the cook or the chef, whatever, that had like the TV show for a while and whatnot. That's cool. And then in one of her videos, she's like, said something about, go check out Rachel Ray's page. And she goes, oh, and she's not the chef or the cook. I was like, oh. So I went and looked up Rachel Ray, and her last name is R-A-E, and I'll link her down below too. So I watched a few of her videos, her diamond painting videos, and then I came across a playlist of hers, I think it was like Floss Tube or something, and she was doing cross stitch, and she was like fairly new to it, and I kind of am too, just because I've done a lot, like when I was younger, I was taught how to do like plastic canvas stuff, but it's different than what this is, what the cross stitch is. I'm just noticing, oh no, that is, okay. Plastic canvas is a little bit different than what cross stitch is, but she had some cross stitch videos, and one of them talked about gridding the fabric. So when you get a cross stitch pattern, it's kind of overwhelming because it has, well, this one, because it's so big, it comes in two pieces of paper, and you can see this is from where I started it before. I didn't get very far, and I'm really mad that I marked on this, but I'll get to what I do now here in a little bit. But anyways, when you get a cross stitch pattern, it comes, you're supposed to fold your fabric, find the middle, and start from the middle and work out from there. So if you can see, there's like an arrow here and an arrow on the side, and if you put the two together, kind of like this, you can see that there's the arrow on this side and this arrow, and this is the middle. So I started here and started up and whatever. But with watching, no, before my butt, it's hard to see on this one because there's a lot of back stitching, but each section has like a 10 by 10 square that it's blocked off in. So I was watching one of Rachel Ray's videos, and she was talking about gridding her fabric. See, you can see it. Here's a 10, here's a block, here's a block, here's a... Okay. So I was like, oh, well, if I do that, it'll be so much easier to follow the pattern, because instead of just having this huge, big, blank piece of canvas, and then you have to count, like, each stitch. It's called counted cross stitch. You have to count each stitch. It'll be easier. So I think this is attempt number 3 or 4 on this project, and I gridded the fabric, and as you can see, I've gotten quite a bit done so far, and it's really cool. And it's so much easier when you grid the fabric, because it's a lot easier to keep track of where you're at on the pattern. So thank you, Rachel Ray, for that video, because I never would have thought about doing this. So I mentioned here that I was starting to mark off my stitches on the pattern, and I wished I wouldn't have done that. So what I do now is, it might be a waste of paper, but normally I'm sitting on the couch when I do this, and I'll be watching TV with my husband or whatever. But what I have done now is, like, I'm working on this part of it. So instead of starting in the middle like it's suggested, since I pre-gridded my fabric now, which it did take some time, I started up in this corner, and I'm working from, I'm going to do this section, and then this section, and then here and here. But what I did this time, instead of marking off all the stitches on the actual pattern that came with the kit, I made a photocopy of it, and gosh, it looks so messy. But this is everything that I've done so far of this section. So each time I do a stitch or whatever, I'm crossing off, I'm marking on the photocopy instead of the pattern, because I can keep this pattern and do this again if I want to. Don't know if I will, because there's so many different color changes. There's some color blocking and whatnot, but again, with watching Rachel Ray's videos and then looking into it more, I've learned some new terminology with cross stitch that I never, and even with diamond painting too. They kind of use the same terms, because realistically, diamond painting is like, I guess a easier version of cross stitch. Instead of you actually sitting and stitching everything, you're just placing the diamonds. But for your colors, you use symbols, and the symbols correlate to a color, whereas this is my color guide. So you can see, like, if you see a pink heart, then that color, that's the color. With this pattern, though, they didn't use DMC floss. It came from another manufacturer. So I had to go online and find the DMC numbers. And I wrote them off to the side here, so you can see all my notes. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but I had like 24 written up here. That was from when I was gridding the fabric. I knew that I had, for this, I had to have 24 blocks across, and then over here is 16. So that was for my gridding. So that's, I'm trying just to mark that information on the pattern, and then, like I said, I just photocopy the section that I'm working on and cross it off as I go. But we're not going to use this for demonstrating purposes. But this, there are sections of this that has a lot of confetti color changes, and if you don't know what that means, it means that there's sections where there's a ton of color changes. So like, Sorry, try not to hit the camera. So like here, this section is all one color, but within that, some areas there's like multiple color changes. I don't know if you can see all that. But then like if you get a section where it's all the same, this is like a color block. But there's a lot up here that has several different color changes. So it can make it difficult. And I've never really done a full cross stitch pattern. Like I said before, I'm more used to like the plastic canvas stuff, and it's not as detailed as this. So with watching Rachel Ray's videos, I started looking at other videos, and I found some that show different ways to change colors and how to start colors and whatnot. So the back of mine, I don't even want to show you, but I'm going to. It's kind of messy because I was experimenting with different things, different ways to start colors and whatever, but it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm happy with the way it's turning out. I think it's going to be awesome once it's done. And there's like a ton of detail in this one too, like the trees. There's all like a ton of back stitching, which gives it like the fine details. I haven't decided if I'm going to do all that yet. I might just stitch up like the main part and see how it looks. And then I don't know if I want like, because excuse me, they say to do all of the main stitching first and then go back and do the back stitching, but there's a lot. There's the trees, there's like the back stitching here is like all of the wood in the cabin to give it that detail of like a log cabin, and then like it outlines the trees and the branches and like the deer. I don't know if I'm gonna do all that. It's a little bit more than I want, but we'll see how it looks without it first and go from there. Let me silence my phone quick. I wanted to do that before I got started, but I forgot. We'll just turn on do not disturb. Okay. So, this is my WIP that we're gonna work on. Yeah. Hopefully I can stay in camera frame. We're gonna see how this one works, because I haven't been able to do this before on camera, and I'm slow at it because I'm not a professional of this. I will not say that I am. This is just something that I do that relaxes me and makes me calm. So grab whatever you have that you're currently working on and work on it with me. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm still kind of coming down from the high of ours, like just all the prep work and like the stress of it. Not that it was stressful. We had a really good time. We enjoyed our family time, but it's just everything getting ready for it. I had my therapy today. That was a good session, but you know, just a lot on my mind. And some days, I always say that some days are better than others, because for a while I'll feel like I'm really making progress on working on myself and controlling my anxiety and stuff. And like today, I was like, I feel like I'm going backwards again. Like, I don't know. Some days are better than others, I guess. And it just depends on the day. So, but anywho, I was trying to think of different topics to talk about. And I had a whole bunch of things that I was going to talk about planned in my head, and now I can't think of any of them. Of course, right? So, my husband is now done with work for the season. He's a construction worker. So right now we are getting into the colder months in winter, and he normally gets laid off for the winter months because there's not a lot of work. So today it's kind of nice out. We had a cold snap here. I think yesterday it was like in the 20s or something. And he was going to go out duck hunting, and he didn't, surprisingly, because it was too cold. And I was like, oh, never thought I would have heard those words come out of your mouth. You're not going duck hunting because it's too cold. But I get it. It was really cold, and a lot of the water froze. So there wasn't a lot of open water to go out. So they're going to try to go out tomorrow. But, yeah, so he's done with work now for the season. He's actually outside because, like I said, it did get a little bit nicer here today. The sun's out and it's a little bit warmer than it has been the past few days. So he is playing mechanic on his truck. A few weeks ago, he was coming home from a job site. It was a little bit further away from where we live. I think it was in Des Plaines. And I was over sewing with my friend who's teaching me how to tailor clothes and alter clothes and whatever. Actually, what I'm doing with her is replacing zippers, like on coats and jeans and whatnot. So I was at her house for a few hours working on stuff, and normally he'll call me like when he's on his way home, and I was leaving her house around the time that he normally would be calling to say that he's on his way home. And so I called him, and I was like, hey honey, I'm just leaving so-and-so's house. Are you on your way home? And he's like, well, I was. And I was like, oh crap. Like, in my mind, I'm automatically thinking, like, car accident, whatever, like, something happened. And I'm like, what do you mean you were? And he's like, well, I'm stuck right now in a parking lot, and because my hose on my transmission blew, and all the transmission fluid leaked out of my car. And I was like, and he's like, and I'm trying to get a tow truck to come get me to bring the truck home. And I'm like, oh, all right. Trying not to hit the camera, and I might have to do this off camera, but we'll see. So anyways, and I was like, well, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm in an apartment complex building in the back because I wanted to get off the road. And I'm trying to get a tow truck. Sorry, I gotta do this off camera. He goes on, I'm trying to get a tow truck through our insurance app and it's not working. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not too far. Take the needle out of my mouth so I can talk. I'm like, you're not too far. I will come and help you the best that I can and at least give you a ride home and figure out what we're going to do. So, yeah, so I go and do that and I help him out. Like, I find where he's at. And of course, it's a area where he's at, it's an area where there's like a bunch of apartment complexes all in one section of this main road, and I turned, like, he sent me a dropped pin of where he was, and of course I turned too soon. I turned at the one in front of him, or yeah, and had to turn around and try to go around the block to come back because I knew there was no way I could make a left-hand turn out of where I was. So I get there. He finally was able to reach the insurance company and get a tow truck on the way, but it was still going to be like an hour. So I sat with them for a little bit, and then the tow truck came and loaded up the truck and brought the truck home. So it's been sitting in the backyard now for a couple of weeks. Excuse me. Because he had to order up some parts and whatnot. So now he's finally able to try and work on it. And of course, the registration for it is due. But he needs to go get emissions done on it. And we were hoping to have that done already. But we'll probably get a late fee on that because it's not going to be drivable until he can get and we don't know if he's done any transmission fluid on it because the hose that blew drained all of the fluid out of the transmission. So yeah, so we don't know if there's any damage to the actual transmission of the truck or not. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this in frame. It's just really hard to do this on camera. Especially, like, the crocheting was difficult, but it was at least bigger. This is like a much smaller. Like, I have tiny little holes that I have to try and push the needle through. And it's stretched out in front of me. And to do it through the camera, I can't because I get like seasick, nauseous. I don't know why. So, oh my god, I'm like right on top of it. So yeah, he's playing mechanic today. So, and we don't have a garage, so it sucks because he has to be outside doing it. And of course we had snow. So a lot of it's melting now, but the ground is cold. Like, we have a concrete slab in our backyard that's like our patio, I guess. So he was at least able to get the truck parked on top of that, but the ground is cold now and it's getting all wet. So that's fun. Alright, got that section done. Now where am I going? But I hope you all had... Where am I on this pattern? How did I get lost already? I'm on the blue arrow, right? Sorry. Oh, I'm down there. Okay. I didn't think that was... Okay. So then we have the 4 and then the 4. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's been our few weeks. And I don't know if you watched my other video the day after Thanksgiving, but I told you a little bit about what we did and whatnot. So other than that, not a whole lot's going on. I thought I was gonna I wanted to record more videos this week. Like, I wanted to do one yesterday with Teach Me Thursday, but I don't know. My anxiety takes over sometimes, and I just can't seem to get myself going. Plus, I ended up having to go into my old job and help with something that I thought was gonna be like tops an hour, but I ended up being there, I think, for like 2 or 3 hours. And I was so exhausted afterwards that, and it wasn't anything physical. It was just helping do some banking stuff or whatever. But I got home and I was like so exhausted from it. And I told my husband, I'm like, I'm just gonna go lay down for a little bit because for whatever reason, I'm exhausted from going there today. And I ended up taking like a 2-hour nap. And I was like, holy crapple on a cracker. Did not expect that to happen. I really don't nap very often. So that was kind of crazy. And then of course last night I couldn't sleep. I was up till like after 2 o'clock this morning. So that kind of really messed up my sleep schedule, but whatever. And then like I said earlier today, 3, I have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had my therapy session with my therapist. I go every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 11 a.m. I'm in therapy. But it does help. A lot of my stuff that we talk about, like I have a lot of, what's it called again? I can't think of it. Intrusive, there we go. Intrusive thoughts about what's gonna happen during the day. And it's like, I'm gonna go somewhere and die. Like I don't know. I'm afraid of death lately. And it's been like a huge thing. And I don't know if I talked about this yet, but we'll go into it a little bit. I don't remember if I talked about it in my first video or not. So back in March, I was at work. I had started this job in last August, and I really loved it. Yeah. Lots of great people. It was like a medium-sized company. It wasn't huge corporate type thing. It was more of like a manufacturing job, but I worked up front and processed orders and did packed stuff that needed to get shipped out. And it was really close to home, and I loved it. So I started that last August, and then August of 22. And then was working there, was doing good, and then in March, for whatever reason, I was at work and thought that I was having a stroke. Like, I sat down at my desk to do something, and I got like this sharp headache pain in my head, and I didn't feel right, and I thought I was freaking having a stroke right there at work, and they had to call an ambulance, and they took me to the hospital, and did all the testing to check for a stroke or a blood clot or anything. Couldn't find anything, and sent me home. And then like the next day or the day after, they wanted me to see a neurologist, so they gave me paperwork to go see a neurologist because I was like, I couldn't move, I couldn't articulate what I wanted to say. And then all of a sudden it was like they gave me some medicine or whatever because they were calling it a complex migraine. And I was like, really? They gave me some medicine through an IV to help with the migraine. And then finally, I was starting to come back around, but it took like a while. We were there for a few hours, just trying to get me more normal. And finally, I felt better. Like, they said that they noticed a big difference in the way I looked and everything. But anyways, they wanted me to see a neurologist, so we came home. Like, the next day we kind of were relaxing and whatever. And then, my husband, thank God, oh my God, he's such a trooper. I'm on the phone, like, I said, I can't call anybody right now. Can you help me try to make an appointment? Like, call the office number that they gave us and try to help me make an appointment with this doctor. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So he's on the phone talking with them, and all of a sudden I feel like this wave of panic again. Like, oh my God, it's happening again. Like, what's wrong with me? Hang up. You gotta hang up and call 911 because something's not right again. Like, I feel weird. And so he did. The paramedics came, checked me out. They said, everything's looking fine. It's up to you. Do you want to go to the emergency room, or, you know, there's really nothing here. Nothing's coming across. Like, your heart rate's fine, whatever. And I was like, yeah, just take me to the emergency room, because something's not right. I feel like I'm dying, but I don't know what's wrong. Well, come to find out, I guess they said it was all anxiety induced. So I've been dealing with that since March. And every day, I never know what's going to happen. Some days I'm perfectly fine. Other days I'm like, oh my God, today's the day. Something's going to happen. I feel bad about today. And so I have a lot of intrusive thoughts that I'm trying to work on. But let me tell you, it has not been fun. And I've been trying to find different ways to help with it. So since then, since March, you know, I was out of work for like 2 weeks, just trying to get back to somewhat normal. And I went back like part-time just to kind of see how I was going to do, because I didn't really feel like I could go back full-time, because I still wasn't feeling comfortable. I don't think I drove for like a week, because I was terrified to drive. I didn't know if something was going to happen while I was driving. So my husband was like my chauffeur for a week, and so that was fun. But it was just an experience that scared the ever-living crap out of me. And just to say, you know, well, there was nothing showed up. There's no blockages in your brain to cause like a stroke or anything that's of alarm. Everything else is checking out fine. It's just anxiety. And I'm like, seriously? So I've been working on that. And some days I just trying to refocus your brain is very hard. Like, like having your brain not take over your body, it's difficult, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. And I've kind of been in this funk the last few days, and I think after coming down from a high, such as like Thanksgiving or whatever, it sets me back a little bit. So I've been trying to work on that and be more normal, but I never know on a day-to-day basis what's gonna trigger it, and it's hard. A lot of people don't understand it, and I think that's hard too, because it's, I don't know. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. So I went back to work part-time, and then I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I'm on edge. I'm freaked out when I'm at work, like something's gonna happen again, and I was kind of embarrassed, I guess you could say. No, I shouldn't have been, because everybody was super understanding and like really compassionate about it. But I decided, I talked to Kevin, I'm like, I don't think that I can do this. I don't feel safe. Not that the people I worked with didn't make me feel safe. It was just me trying to tell myself, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, nothing's gonna happen. It's hard. So I haven't worked since like April. And it's been hard just trying to keep up with finances and whatever, because we've always been a 2-income household. And now that my husband's laid off for the season, I don't know how it's gonna go. Like I said, well, I can go out and get a real job. Like, try to. But I'm terrified. Because I don't want to go back to how I was. Like, I don't know. My whole life flashed before my eyes, I guess, and it was just really scary. And I'm afraid that if I overextend myself or overly stress out, that I'm going to put myself into that situation again. And I don't want to. Like, I've worked on stuff, like little things here and there. I get into stressful situations or situations that make me anxious and I feel okay, but just like a snap of a fingers for something like that to happen and to think you're dying and you don't know what's happening to you. I guess it's kind of like a panic attack. If anybody has panic attacks, can relate to that. But then it's like, it's hard to regulate it. I don't know how to explain it. So that's where I'm at with that. Just trying to deal with everyday life and tell myself that I'm not crazy and that everything is fine. But it's hard. Some days, like I say, are better than others. Some days I just live in the moment, like talking with my therapist, she's like, you need to stop. Like, it's hard. She goes, I get it, because your brain is telling you one thing, but your body is telling you another thing. Like, you want to live in the moment, but you can't, because your brain is telling you, like, the opposite. So that's what I'm trying to work on. So yeah, that's my everyday struggles. And if there's anybody out there that can relate to that, Lord, please help me. Because it's difficult. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked and I'm getting a different color here. So yeah, that's what I deal with. And sometimes everyday tasks, like, terrify me. Like, sometimes just going to the grocery store. I'm usually okay, but like, I haven't been to church. I normally will go to church every Sunday. I don't think I've been to church in almost half a year now, because, and you would think that I would feel safe at church, and I normally do. I love the people there. I love the congregation. We're a small group. But again, intrusive thoughts, like, I'm afraid that something's gonna happen. Like, I don't know what. And sometimes even going to the grocery store bothers me. So yeah, it all depends on the day. Sorry, I hit the camera again. And if you don't know somebody that's going through this and trying to, like, to relate to it, it's hard. Like, I've been told so many different things, like, oh, well, just get over it, that's everyday life, like, you don't need to worry about that. Well, I know, but I do, and I can't turn it off. I don't know how to turn it off. I wish I could turn it off, but I can't. So, and that's what I'm trying to work on, is making it better. So, I think this is going to be a short one today, because this is really difficult to do online. I think you've seen me do like 10 stitches, but this is hard to do when I'm trying to get a different tripod, one that's not like directly in front of me, one that's like more over my shoulder, so I'm not like literally, I'm wrapping my arms around it. So in between my arms is my tripod with a light that you can see reflected in the computer monitors. You can kind of see me. And it's hard to do this type of project like that, so. But I ran out of yarn on my other project, so I gotta go to Joann's and get some more yarn for that. But, yeah, I'm gonna try to work on, you know, my WIPs videos, my Wednesday videos. They're gonna be like more unedited videos. But my Teach Me Tuesday videos that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to pre-record some of those, so I'm gonna work on that here now in a little bit too. But I'm gonna pre-record those a little bit because there's more editing that's involved. So yeah. But my WIPs and like my Talk With Me Thursdays, I'm just gonna start that too. So tomorrow it'll be another video like this, and I'll be more prepared. So Wednesday and Thursday videos, and probably Fridays too. I guess, because I want to try to do it Monday, like record videos every day of the week, except for Saturday and Sunday. That's my goal. But the only ones that I think that are going to be like truly edited are going to be my Tuesday videos, because that's more Teach Me Tuesdays, and it's going to have like snippets along the way. But these ones are, besides like the intro slide or whatever, besides that, they're real, they're legit, and just everyday life. So yeah, I think that's what I want to do. So it's gonna be a learning experience for both of us, for all of us. I don't know why I said both of us. For me and for you watching. So I guess that's both, but there might be more than one of you. So I hope you enjoy your Wednesday. I'm gonna end this short and get this uploaded so it can actually be posted and viewed for today. Thank you to my subscribers. I now have 2. Thank you very much, whoever you are. Please be sure to like and subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe yet and see what more I have to offer, that's fine. But if you liked this video, if you liked the content, please be sure to like it and leave any comments with questions or help with anxiety. I've been meditating, been trying to meditate. I never thought that I would be one to meditate, but that has helped. Just doing some breath work and whatever. That's helped quite a bit. But I also do listen to a podcast on Spotify called Dr. Anxiety, and that's helped quite a bit too, and I'll link her down below. But I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will talk with you later. Bye.